Forgiving someone who hurt you isn't easy. Honestly, it's one of the hardest things a person can do, especially when the person who hurt you isn't going to change or apologize or even understand what they did. We hear all these phrases online like just let it go or move on, as if forgiveness is a switch you flip. But real forgiveness is a form of strength most people never talk about. A strength that's silent, patient, and pretty much unnoticed by everyone except you. Because people think strength is loud, confrontational, explosive. But the truth is the opposite. You're strong if you avoid violence, you're strong if you stay kind when someone made you bitter, and you're strong when you choose peace over revenge. Today, I want to talk about how to forgive someone who refuses to change and what real strength looks like in that process. I've had many people in my life who've done me dirty. I realized all the time I spent blaming them my whole life was really only running away from forgiveness. Step 1, shift the goal of forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about fixing the other person. It's not about making them understand or feel guilty or change into someone better. You forgive so you don't have to carry their damage inside you forever. The weight of what someone did to you can drain you mentally, emotionally, physically. It can make it harder to love, harder to trust, harder to relax, even harder to like yourself. Forgiveness is simply saying, I'm not letting what you did control my self worth, my thoughts, or my peace anymore. You're letting go of the emotional fight, not their memory, and definitely not the boundaries. Most of you already know about the infamous ex I've talked about in some of my older videos. Long story short, I got cheated on. And for a long time, I told myself I had to be angry about it. I made it my whole personality. I blamed her for everything that went wrong in my life after that. It was easier to stay mad than to feel anything else, because anger made me feel in control. But the truth is, all that pain I was holding on to didn't actually come from what she did. It came from what I never did. I never forgave her, and I never forgave myself for letting it sit inside me, for pretending I was fine, for letting it rot instead of facing it. I thought being mad made me strong, but really, it was just keeping me stuck. Step 2, accept that they are who they are. This part sounds harsh, but it's actually freeing. People who don't change aren't giving you a challenge to overcome, they're giving you information. Accepting someone's limitations isn't weakness, it's maturity, it's strength. It allows you to stop waiting for a version of them that will never exist, because that waiting is what hurts the most. Real strength is often silent, patient, and unnoticeable. Accepting who someone is without exploding, without begging, without trying to fix them is one of the most silent, patient forms of strength there is. Step 3, build boundaries that match reality. Forgiveness does not mean giving someone the same access to you. You can forgive someone and still say, you don't get this part of me anymore, or I don't trust you with my emotions, or I'm keeping my distance, or just, I'm done. Forgiveness plus boundaries equals peace. Forgiveness without boundaries equals more wounds. Boundaries are how you protect the healed version of yourself. Step 4, grieve the version of them you'd hoped they'd become. A lot of pain isn't from what they did, it's from the version of them you'd believe they could be. Grieving means admitting they're not going to become the person I needed. That's not giving up. That's accepting what's real so you can stop replaying the same emotional movie in your head. Something I've noticed about myself. Whenever I care about someone, I go all in. I put in effort, I show up, I try to meet them exactly where they are. And deep down, I expect them to match that energy. I expect them to pause their whole life, to rearrange their priorities, to change the same ways I'm willing to change for them. But that's the mistake I kept making. People don't transform just because you want them to. You can't demand someone else's growth on your timeline, and expecting them to match your level of effort doesn't make you loyal. It just makes you exhausted. So part of forgiving myself has been accepting that I wasn't wrong for caring deeply. I was just wrong for expecting my love to reshape someone else's life. And that's okay. That's how you learn. Step 5, forgive for your future, not for your past. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't make it okay. It just means you're choosing not to let it drain your energy for the rest of your life. Forgiveness is less about them and more about the person you're becoming. Remember that all truly strong people are kind. Being kind doesn't mean being naive. Being forgiving doesn't mean being weak. It means you refuse to let someone else's darkness pull you into becoming someone you're not. Step 6, forgive yourself for accepting less than you deserved. One of the hardest parts of forgiveness isn't forgiving them, it's forgiving yourself. Because once the dust settles, once the emotions calm down, once you've had time to reflect, you start asking yourself painful questions. Why did I let that happen? Why did I ignore the signs? Why did I keep going back? Why did I think that was my love? Why didn't I protect myself sooner? But here's the truth. You didn't stay because you were weak. You stayed because you were hopeful. You cared. You tried. You believed in their potential, not their patterns. People love to talk about forgiving others, but almost nobody talks about the guilt you carry for not loving yourself harder, sooner, or louder. But you have to understand something. You can't blame yourself for not knowing what you didn't know, and you can't punish yourself for having a heart. Forgiving yourself means saying, I understand why I stayed, I understand why I trusted, I understand why I hoped, and I'm not going to shame myself for being human. Because shaming yourself doesn't heal anything, it just keeps you tied to the version of you that didn't know better. Forgiveness is growth, and growth means looking back at the old you with the compassion, not judgment. Treating yourself with the same kindness you give everyone else. That's where real healing begins. When I think about strength now, I don't picture someone angry or unbothered or walking away without feeling anything. For a long time, I actually thought that's what strength was supposed to look like. Like after I got cheated on, I told myself I had to be mad at her, that I had to blame everything on that moment, that holding on to the pain somehow proved I was strong. But it didn't. All it did was keep me hurt. And what I didn't realize back then was this: real strength is often silent, patient, and completely unnoticeable. It took strength to sit with what happened. It took strength to stop replaying the story in my head. It took strength to stop trying to make her the villain so I could feel justified. And the hardest part, it took strength to forgive myself for staying, for loving someone who didn't treat me right, for letting the pain sit in me longer than it should have. People think strength is loud, but honestly, you're strong if you avoid violence. Even the emotional violence we sometimes do to ourselves. And that's what I was doing for a while, hurting myself with memories, beating myself up for not leaving earlier, punishing myself for trusting someone. But here's the truth I finally learned. All truly strong people are kind, and that kindness has to include yourself. So forgiveness for me wasn't about her at all. It was about giving myself permission to stop carrying the weight. It was about choosing peace over punishment. It was about saying, I'm done letting this moment control who I'm becoming. That's the kind of strength I'm trying to live now. And once I finally forgave myself, something shifted. It was like the anger I'd been holding on to didn't have anything to stick to anymore. Because the truth is, you can't move forward while you're still dragging the old version of yourself behind you. And that's where everything started to change for me. Not when I forgave her, but when I stopped punishing myself. Step 7. Acceptance is not approval. You can accept someone's behavior without approving it. You can say, I see who you are, I understand it, and I'm choosing peace over staying hurt. Sometimes the most peaceful form of forgiveness is distance. Choosing peace helped change things for me because I stopped focusing on it as much. Since I wasn't as angry anymore, I was able to move on in a way I never thought possible and overall becoming a healthier person. All in all, forgiving someone who won't change is one of the quietest, strongest things a person can do. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, people won't congratulate you for it, but you'll feel it in your chest, in your mind, in the way your life slowly starts to feel lighter. Because real strength isn't about fighting, it's about choosing not to fight when fighting is the easy option. And real forgiveness, it's not about them. It's about freeing the version of you that's still hurting and giving your future self a chance to breathe. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this. This is something I feel pretty strongly about, and I'll probably cover again in the future. But let me know if there's any other ideas you're looking at, and I'll make sure to write them down and put them in future videos. Thank you guys. I love you.